want to seize the opportunity.
Hello, thank you for joining us on the news. I'm Ruth Aguwele. My sign language interpreter is John Bamidele. Let's bring you the headlines. President Tinubu in Rome for Akaba process meeting joins other leaders in strengthening cooperation in the fight against terrorism. As Nigeria commemorates International Rural Day, federal government includes livestock component in women development. Plus, Kenya's one-time Prime Minister Raila Odinga dies at 80. Countries of the world at the Akaba process meeting have agreed to strengthen cooperation for better effectiveness in the fight against terrorism in parts of the world. This was at the meeting of heads of state and government just concluded in Rome. State House correspondent Musbahu Wahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu set out for the Akaba process meeting of heads of state and governments, an initiative of King Abdullah II of Jordan on countering terrorism. This year, a crucial matter concerning West Africa was on the table for leaders of the world to dissect, or perhaps to lend support, and the attention of Nigeria, constituting about one-third of a sub-region, was highly needed at the high-level meeting. The rising territory of terrorism in West Africa, including how terrorist groups are using the internet and social media to spread their message and recruit new members, were of major concern here. The closed meeting also discussed how to stop the flow of money and weapons to the groups.
The major takeaway is the fact that there is a multinational cooperation in fighting against terrorism. All nations believe that if one country is sick because of terrorism, in no time it will affect the other country. So the countries around the world believe that together we have to work and fight terrorism. So it's a very good, robust meeting that discuss especially the terrorism in West Africa, and the countries resolve really to work together and provide both policy and solutions for multinational terrorism fight. And I believe it is very, very good for our country being the leader in West Africa and Sahel.
The Nigerian Defense Minister, Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, also assessed the effectiveness of the meeting in the last 10 years of the initiative.
This meeting really cut down bureaucracy, and leaders meet freely and openly and have very frank and open discussions on ways and means to fight terrorism in the world. And the focus now is West Africa, and I believe Nigeria stands to gain a lot from the cooperations that this meeting brings about.
On the sidelines of a high-level meeting, President Bola Tinubu also met separately with the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, and King Abdullah II of Jordan on bilateral matters. In Rome, Musbahu Wahab, NTA News.
Kenyan President William Ruto has announced 7 days of national mourning and a state funeral for opposition leader Raila Odinga, who died at 80 while on a trip to India. Uche Ogochukwu reports on the life and times of the man described as a giant of democracy.
Emotional scenes of mourning broke out across Kenya for its perennial opposition figure,
who ran unsuccessfully for the presidency 5 times. Hundreds gathered at his residence in Nairobi, many visibly in shock and holding branches, a symbolic gesture of respect, with some screaming Baba, meaning father, as he was widely known.
Raila was an enigma. Raila was a pragmatic leader.
Indian police said he was working with his sister, daughter, and a personal doctor at a clinic in Kerala State when he suddenly collapsed. President William Ruto described Odinga as Kenya's former statesman and one of Africa's greatest sons.
Raila Amolo Odinga's name will forever be etched in the story of our republic, a story of struggle, sacrifice, courage, rule of law, hope, and of our pursuit for excellence.
Raila Odinga was at the center of political developments since the 1990s and remained a dominant force, able to rally a huge number of supporters. Born on January 7, 1945, the son of Kenya's first vice president, Odinga spent his early political years either in jail or exile, fighting for democracy during the autocratic rule of President Daniel Arap Moi. A member of the Lu tribe, he entered parliament in 1992 and ran unsuccessfully for the presidency, claiming to have been cheated of victory in the last 4 elections. The biggest unrest came after the 2007 election, considered deeply flawed by independent observers, that triggered ethnic violence in which more than 1,000 people died. Odinga was Prime Minister from 2008 to 2013 in a power-sharing deal aimed at curbing the violence, though the post was later abolished under a new constitution. Political analysts say his death leaves a leadership vacuum in the opposition, with no obvious successor who can match his ability to mobilize as Kenya heads into an election in 2027. Odinga's popularity dipped in recent years as ill health and age weakened his famed speaking abilities. His decision to ally with rivals, then President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2018 and current President Ruto last year, were unpopular with some supporters and left the country without an effective opposition. Meanwhile, condolences have begun to pour in, with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi being the first. He said on X that Odinga was a towering statesman and a cherished friend of India. African Union Chair Mahmoud Ali Yusuf posted that he inspired generations of leaders through his courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in the power of dialogue and evolution of democratic institutions. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Similarly, President Bola Tinubu extends his condolences to the government and people of the Republic of Kenya over the passing of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. President Tinubu extols Odinga as a towering figure in African politics, whose lifelong commitment to democracy, justice and national unity left an indelible mark on Kenya and across Africa. The president says the former prime minister's courage in the face of adversity, his resilience in pursuing electoral reforms and his unwavering belief in the people's power will remain sources of inspiration for generations to come. President Tinubu also states that as a statesman of international repute and a freedom fighter, Odinga embodied the spirit of Pan-Africanism and was a steadfast advocate for inclusive governance and regional cooperation. All right, and to speak more on the passing of the late Prime Minister of Kenya, let's have our guest join us via Zoom from Nairobi, Mr. Victor Konyango. He's a journalist. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Victor.
Good evening, and I thank you for having me here from Nairobi. Today is a sad day indeed for Kenya, and not only Kenya, but the world and Africa at large.
Okay.
Because
Mr. Victor, I understand the grief there in Kenya, but how would you describe a man whose life has been described in different ways, also as a giant of democracy, looking at his struggles in politics? How significant would you say the milestones he's left behind?
Raila Odinga was a patriot. He was a liberator. We remember Raila for what we call multi-party democracy, which he fought for in the early 90s during the era of Daniel Moi. We remember Raila for the current constitution, which we say that is very progressive, the 2010 constitution. This constitution has brought a lot of development closer to the people within our country. This is the constitution which brought the issues to do with the counties. Most regions which used to be marginalized can now get resources, courtesy of the late Raila Odinga. So Raila touched the life of many people within Kenya and even without Africa. I've seen many leaders from our region in the East Africa and even beyond the East Africa region who have been rising, young leaders, because of what Raila stood for. Raila has been a mentor to many politicians. He has been inspiring many leaders within. But here in Kenya, we will remember him for two significant things: the multi-party democracy, which has allowed Kenya to have a number of political parties, and the 2010 constitution. The 2010 constitution helped us to get out of the dark era of the Kanu regime, where people used not to have their freedom of expression, freedom of association, and a number of things which the current constitution has brought. And we are very sad as a country. And more so, for your information, actually, I come from the tribe where Raila comes from.
Okay.
Raila was a political figure to many people within our tribe and even without.
Indeed, and also a strong leader of opposition, which, from reports we've gathered, there is a vacuum on who will contend, to fill the big shoes he's left behind, especially because of his nature. You understand what I mean?
Yes. Actually, he has left a very big political void within the country. Even when I look at the current opposition, I don't see anyone who can feel or who can fit in Raila's shoe, because Raila was someone who was loved and hated in equal measure. He was loved within the Nyanza region. He was loved even in the western region of this country, the coastal region. Raila was just an enigma of our political landscape.
Indeed, Victor. Very briefly now, what are some of the legacies you would say he's left behind? We saw his struggles, his political struggle, even trying to contest for presidency 5 times, and a man who never gives up. But what would you say in your words?
Raila was a people-centered politician. He was a selfless leader, and that's why he would even challenge the outcomes of various elections, but finally will always agree for the sake of his love for this country. Just imagine those several times he tried to be the president, and you remember a number of times he has moved to court. The one in which you can remember clearly is the issue of the 2007, where even his staunch supporters, including the current president, William Ruto, were like, Raila should not accept Mwai Kibaki to be sworn in. But Raila said his personal ambitions are not bigger than that of the country. So Raila was a selfless leader. He was a people-centered person. He was a person who loved peace. He's a person who loved unity. And that's why he has managed to work with almost all presidents Kenya has had.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Victor Koyango, for your time on the news. Of course, he will be remembered for so many things, and we join Kenya in mourning this great man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
The House Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream cordially invites general public and stakeholders to a one-day public hearing on the National Commission for the Decommissioning of Oil and Gas Installations Date Thursday, 16 October 2025. Time 2 p.m. Venue, Conference Room 028. Specifically invited are the following. For further inquiries, please contact the clerk on 080-6796-0998 or the Secretariat of the Committee in Room 302. Announcer, Honorable Alhassan Ado Dogwa, OON, Chairman of the Committee.
Thank you for staying tuned. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen visits Belgrade as part of tour of Western Balkans ahead of enlargement talks this year. The Serbian president has for years pursued a diplomatic balancing act between the European Union and its strong ties with Russia as well as China, which has notably invested in Serbian mines but has been challenged by year-long anti-government protests. At a joint press conference, European Commission President said Serbia needs to get concrete about joining the EU, urging her to have respect for the rule of law, electoral reforms, media freedom, and Russia's sanctions. She said the necessary reforms take patience and endurance. Large anti-government protests have rocked Serbia for almost a year after a fatal railway station roof collapse triggered accusations of corruption and calls for early elections. The Nigerian Reputation Management Group has called on citizens to recommit to values of honesty, accountability, and integrity as the country commemorates the inaugural Nigeria Reputation Day observed on October 15, 2025. In a statement signed by its chairman, Yomi Badejo Okunsoya, the group described the day as a moment of reflection and renewal, a time to recognize one of the nation's greatest assets, its name. The group emphasized that rebuilding Nigeria's reputation requires more than institutional reform. It demands restoring trust, strengthening character, and living with integrity, while identifying 4 core pillars for building and sustaining a positive national reputation: consistency, transparency, responsibility, respect, and excellence. The group urged all Nigerians, both at home and in the diaspora, to join the Better Reputation, Better Nigeria hashtag challenge by committing to daily acts of integrity that inspire others and strengthen the nation's moral fabric. The federal government commemorates the 2025 International Day of Rural Women, observed annually on this day, October 15. This coincides with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture's engagement with schools as part of activities marking World Food Day, which is tomorrow. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
October 15 is designated by the United Nations to celebrate rural women and their contributions to global food production. These women in Kuje Area Council and their counterparts nationwide are being celebrated.
We are certain that with your collaboration and intervention, we shall drive this vision through policy, support, your partnership, and interventions.
The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, and his counterpart, the Minister of Livestock Development, Muktari Idi Meha, are here to celebrate with the women.
When we have pockets of production centers, through every home a garden, through Young Farmers Club, and through community-driven projects such as Muje Kuje, definitely we will be contributing to the volume of food that is available in the market.
We want to see goats, sheep, and particularly dairy cows, so that you can do milking here and start selling your milk, selling your yogurt, and making cheese here.
Nigeria can be a hub, can feed itself and feed the surrounding nation too.
Dr. Sabi Abdullahi, alongside Idi Mukhtar Meha, visited UBE Secondary School facility in Kuje Area Council. They inspected the farm being cultivated by the students of the school. And here is the Minister of State for Agriculture with the students of Government Girls Secondary School, Karu. The minister and his team are here to encourage the students' farming activities.
From the classroom to the community.
In addition to maize, the students of Government Secondary School Karshi are also cultivating rice. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In a bid to safeguard public health, prevent infection and promote the well-being of Nigerians, the National Task Group on Sanitation has reaffirmed commitment to promoting hand hygiene as a key aspect of public health in Nigeria. Usman Zubairu reports that Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, re-echoed this at the commemoration of this year's Global Hand Washing Day held in Abuja.
Hand washing with soap is not just a hygiene practice, but a global health necessity that saves lives. Globally, the 15th October is set aside by the United Nations for global advocacy on hand washing, ensuring the success of the United Nations campaign drive to prevent infectious diseases and promote hygiene is the focus of this gathering. The National Task Group on Sanitation believes that increasing awareness on the importance of hand washing is an effective and affordable way to prevent diseases. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation noted that proper hand washing is essential in preventing diseases and also plays a significant role in mitigating the impact of future pandemics. He called on behavioral change, assuring that the federal government will continue to demonstrate political will to enhance sanitation facilities in public places, health centers and schools.
The federal government has over the years demonstrated its commitment to the development of the water, sanitation and hygiene sector in Nigeria with several initiatives.
We need to dramatically improve access to hand washing services.
The National Task Group on Sanitation is promoting and advocating for increased adoption of hand washing with soap.
The theme for this year's observance is Be a Hand Washing Hero. Usman Zubairu, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Environment has unveiled the second edition of the Sub-National Climate Governance Performance, Rating and Ranking Report. Lagos State retains its position as #1 out of the 36 states of the Federation, while Katsina and Kaduna states take the second and third spots. Charles Alpha will tell us more.
The absence of robust subnational climate governance frameworks many believe can undermine national efforts and limit climate action at the grassroots. However, Lagos, Katsina and Kaduna states have distinguished themselves, emerging as top performers of the 2025 Subnational Climate Governance Performance Rating and Ranking of Nigeria's 36 states. The initiative, driven by the Federal Ministry of Environment through the Department of Climate Change in collaboration with the Society for Planet and Prosperity, seeks to strengthen climate action across states. Lagos scored a total of 315 points out of 365 to emerge overall winner, followed closely by Katsina with 310 points and Kaduna with 300 points.
The aim of this ranking is not to stigmatize, not to celebrate only the best performance, but to elevate the entire system.
All the states improved in their absolute overall score this year compared to last year.
The assessment reports launched by the Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, evaluated states based on 5 key areas, which are climate change administrative and institutional frameworks, climate policy and action plans, climate budgeting and finance, project implementation and monitoring, as well as online visibility of climate actions.
This report is an actual reflection of how we measure, compare, and drive climate action at the subnational levels.
The UK is proud to support the development of more accountable and inclusive institutions to address Nigeria's interrelated governance and climate change challenges.
Organizers say the ranking provides a useful tool for policymakers and stakeholders to identify strengths, addressing gaps, and promote collaboration that will advance subnational climate action and contribute to Nigeria's overall climate goals. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has called on Nigerians to unite against efforts by foreign interests to undermine the nation's unity. saying a united front is required to protect the country's image against false narratives and contrived misinformation. This was when the minister received a delegation from the National Open University of Nigeria, led by its Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Peters, in Abuja on a courtesy visit.
Accepted to host the Media Information Literacy Institute at the National Open University. This goes a long way to show the seriousness, the commitment with which the university attaches to the learning environment in this country, and I want to thank you for that. We will be in Uzbekistan early November, when we hope that the final ratification for the take of this institute is provided. We have reached out to a number of people, both within and outside this country, to make sure that this happens.
I want to thank the Honorable Minister for your confidence in our university and the support of our mandate to improve media literacy in our country and globally. We have put in place administrative and operational structures that guarantee the full autonomy of the institute, while strategically integrating the institute within the broader academic environment of our university. This structure ensures that INILI benefits from institutional support while still maintaining the independence necessary for its unique and specialized mandate.
A quick look at the judiciary. For Nigeria's judiciary to remain relevant and globally competitive, the need for its emerging and young legal practitioners to be digitally, digitally and technologically equipped has been emphasized. Chukunonso Nwambweze reports.
As the legal practice continues to evolve, just like every other human endeavor, these potential as well as young lawyers have converged to chart new ways of repositioning the profession with the adoption of technology. The keynote speaker, Monday Obani, SAN, and others admonished the prospective lawyers to uphold integrity while embracing digitalization.
Artificial intelligence can assist justice, but also it can perpetuate bias. Big data can enhance governance, but also it does invade our privacy. As young lawyers, your duty is to be the moral compass in this technological storm.
Technology creates new legal domain, entirely new fields of law that require specialized expertise, such as cybersecurity, data privacy, fintech regulation, and blockchain, that is smart contracts.
Digital world, it's no more, it's not a luxury. It's the foundation of what the practice today or what the life today is. And as lawyers, we must embrace it and make very good judicial and judicious use of it.
The participants, who are drawn from different universities across Nigeria, are optimistic of proper utilization of the knowledge garnered at the summit.
One thing to understand is that law is a practical course, and for every single thing that has been learned in this summit today, it's going to be put into practice.
We should be mindful that most of our data in Africa we don't own it, so we should also be talking about data governance, not just artificial intelligence, because most of our data are owned by foreign companies.
Innovation, technology, and excellence in leadership is the theme of the summit. Chukunonso Nwambweze, NTA News.
And that concludes the news. Thank you for your time. I'm Ruth Aguwele. My sign language interpreter is John Bamidele.